What's going on, guys? It's Sean. I am back again, and in this video we're going to be working on Batman Beyond. And you're probably wondering, wait a minute, Sean, you already made a Batman Beyond. Well, that was Batman Beyond 2.0. This one is version 2.5. It's a difference. It's a 0.5 difference. Alright, so I've already got all my paper templates cut out and transferred over to my 5mm craft foam, because that's what I always use for all my helmet builds. And right here is the top part of the helmet. I put some registration marks there because along this line is going to be cut in a straight, right about there. And then on the other side of that registration mark is going to be cut in an outward angle cut, which will connect to the inner earpiece. And this line right here was cut in a slight outward angle cut as well. It should look something like that, and then you're going to repeat the process over on the other side. You want this part to mirror each other because it just makes sense. And this piece right here is the lower back of the helmet. Now I'm going to cut the two big side pieces. This part right here I did cut in an inward angle cut, which is the top of the forehead, and this is the ears. This part right here is the back of the helmet ear area, I guess, and this is where the lower back piece is going to go. Now, as for the top forehead, I cut that one in a straight cut right there, which is like the bridge of the nose. And then the mouthpiece I did cut in an inward angle cut, and then the bottom of the helmet was a straight cut. But here's the tricky part right here. I'm going to cut the eyes in a outward angle cut, which is going to give it this really cool looking bevel. And the trick is you try not to stop, but it's a little difficult not to stop because of the radius of the that curve. But once you get it all glued together, it should look something like that. Now it's time to move along to the other side of the helmet, which you're going to do basically the same thing. And earlier I mentioned that you try not to stop when you do these curved cuts, because every time you do make a stop, you'll see in the foam where you did make that stop and cut right there. But you can actually sand all that down. If you can get it all in one swift cut, man, would that be a clean look. And this is the eyepiece. I did roughly cut it because this piece is actually going to be stashed behind the rest of the mask. And here's the trick with cutting the inner piece of the eye. You want to make sure you start off with a really sharp razor blade and then you plunge it in. You don't want to just stab it in there. You just want to plunge it in. That way you give yourself a really nice cut. And this should look something like that. Yeah. And now it's time to go and apply glue to all my pieces. What I like to do is apply glue to all the edges. That way, by the time I get done with the last piece, it's time to put everything together, because contact cement only works when it's dry to attack. I know a lot of people have been saying that contact cement doesn't work for me, or they just don't have the patience. But I feel like the contact cement is way better and cleaner looking than hot glue. And now that all my contact cement is dry to attack, it's time to put everything together. I'm going to use the surface of my table to make sure all my edges are nice and smooth. I normally use wax paper, but sometimes if your table is smooth enough, you can actually get away with it without using wax paper. And now that I have that one done, I'm going to set it aside so I can work on the side pieces. I'm going to start by gluing the bridge of the nose together, and you should have something that look like this. And then I'm going to do the other side, and it's going to look the same, except for not really. They're going to mirror each other, just like that. And then I'm going to take these two pieces and then attach them right at the mouthpiece. I'm going to start at the bottom, and then kind of work my way to the top, to the nose bridge. And notice how when I cut the front of the mouthpieces in an angle cut, it gave me a really cool bevel looking edge right there. And then the nose bridge was actually cut in a straight cut, and that's because I didn't want it to bevel right there in that spot. And so far everything is starting to look pretty groovy. It's time to connect the two larger pieces together. I'm going to take the top of the dome and the front side piece and start at the center and carefully align the edges together, making sure that they don't flap around everywhere, and try to get a really smooth seam line as possible. Now notice I'm just like sticking it on there, not really pressing it together, to make sure everything lines up. And then once everything is lined up and looking good, I go and press it all in. And once you get it all pressed all in like that, it's a done deal. I mean, there's no going back. Well, you can if you had some acetone on hand and apply with some syringe. It'll break that glue apart and you don't have to start all over. Now I'm going to connect the back of the helmet together just like that. I'm going to focus really hard, making sure my seam line is nice and perfect. Well, I don't really aim for perfect. I mean, it's good enough for me. Just cosplay, bro. Now it's time to attach the lower back of the helmet. This part right here does get pretty tricky, but I start in the center and I work my way out to the outer edges, I guess, or the earpiece, just like that. Some areas I may have to stretch a little bit. Some areas I may have to compress just a little bit. But you fiddle around with it and eventually everything kind of comes together just like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, if your seam lines are looking pretty sloppy like this one's looking right about now, you can always go back and apply some quick seal and sand it down. And then it'll all look perfect. But I'm not a perfectionist, but I do hold a high standard. And this does meet my standards, so I'm just gonna move along. Then I'm gonna add this little thingy to the chin piece. This right here will help keep the bottom of the face mask from flapping around. Well, it's not like it's actually gonna flap around. It's not like you're gonna wear it while riding a motorcycle, because that would be kind of dumb, you know. Well, all whitey tidy, it is starting to look pretty legit. It's time to work on the eyepieces because those eyes look pretty big, but we're about to add these little inserts and it's gonna really set it off. I mean, it's gonna look really sick once you get it all up in there. I'm going to carefully align it to the eyepiece. Now I'm just eyeballing it. Get it? Eyeballing it. Well, anyways, I'm just going to eyeball it, make sure everything is nice and even with the other side of the eye, because the last thing you want to do is have some crookedy eyes looking at other people and be like, say bro, your Batman Beyond's got one lazy eye. Batman Beyond isn't a lazy guy, so you want to make sure your eyes are straight. Alright, so now that I'm done with the eyes, let's work on the inner earpiece. Most of this is cut in a straight cut except for this line right here. I cut that one in an outward angle cut, which is going to join onto the top of the dome area like that. I'm going to apply my contact cement. Now the earpiece does get a little tricky when you glue these pieces together. I even confused myself while I was doing this, even though I've already done it once before. Notice the other ear is already done. But yeah, there was some areas that I had to glue the edges, and some pieces I had to glue on the surface because the surface touches each other. But you'll see that here in a little bit when I start to assemble all my pieces. I took a pair of scissors and snip off the tip of that earpiece because I felt like I didn't really need it. It was going to be more of a nuisance trying to squeeze it into these tight little spots than it was worth. So yeah, I went ahead and cut it off. Now some of these areas that I may have to go back and fill it up with some quick seal just to give it a nice clean look. Right here on the inner earpiece and the side of the ear, I glued the surfaces together, and then I'm going to glue the surface of the back inner earpiece to the edge of the back part of the earpiece sides. I hope this is making sense to you because I'm confusing myself while trying to explain everything. But yeah, I'm carefully making sure all my edges are nice and clean. Then I'm going to snip that off because it was easier than sanding it and look better, you know. Groom his ear. Makes sense, right? So far so groovy, and I'm digging what I'm cooking, and I hope you're digging it too. My Batman Beyond helmet is coming along really nicely. Now if you're really digging this slick look and you want to keep it all plain and simple and clean looking like this, then go ahead and just seal everything, heat form it, seal it with some Mod Podgy or Plasti Dip or whatever you want, and then go straight to paint. But it's not edgy enough for me I'm gonna add some sideburns with the kind of goatee looking thingy. I don't know, let's just call it accents. Makes sense, right? Now I already cut out all my little accents. I'm gonna apply some glue to all my pieces, and then I'm gonna carefully just put everything on there. Now some of you guys are probably wondering, why would you go and mess up a really clean looking helmet by adding all these little other accents on there? Well, I kind of wanted the helmet to match the edginess of the rest of the suit. And if you're curious of what this suit looks like, then swing by my Instagram or my Facebook, because I've got some whip pictures. Whip means work in progress, in case you're not hip to that acronym thingy, whatever. Let's move along. Now, normally a smart cosplay builder would go and seal up some of these little gaps with some quick seal, but me being all impatient and wanting to get this done ASAP, I went ahead and just sealed it. And notice I'm not actually using Mod Podge or Plasti Dip. I wanted to try this tacky glue stuff and see how this one worked out, and I really like it. I mean, it's self-leveling. I didn't really see any brush strokes once it all dried up, and it sealed really good. It's actually more flexible than Mod Podge and less toxic than Plasti Dip. So yeah, now it's time to take the helmet over to my paint booth, which is really invisible right now. But yeah, I applied a few coat of black paint and it's starting to look pretty sick. I don't know, y'all let me know what you think. I don't think it looks sick enough. Actually, I wanted to go with a more metallic look, so I went and threw on some gunmetal just for poops and giggles. Now I'm actually going for an edgy, futuristic look, Batman Beyond, but then again, Batman Beyond is from the future. I'm using a hairdryer to accelerate the drying process because impatient happens, but you can sort of see where it's a little bit lighter. Now some may beg to differ that they prefer the black, but I'm gonna throw in some black shading just to add a little bit of contrast to the helmet. Now I may change my mind here down the road once I get the rest of the armor painted, but I just wanted to see what it looked like. I mean, it is just cosplay and you can always repaint it. I mean, it's not the end of the world unless it really is the end of the world and the world needs a Batman Beyond and you want to be that guy. Then check out the link in the description below, which will take you to the template for this bad boy so you can be that guy. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Hit that like button if you feel like you got something out of this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed, because I've got some pretty cool contents coming along. I got Iron Man, which I still need to finish up for you guys, and then I'm going to finish up the rest of this Batman Beyond suit. And if you want to see more pictures of my Batman Beyond, then make sure you swing by my Instagram or my Facebook, because I got a lot of progress pictures there. So yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.